Oh, hello there. Welcome into Lumberjillville's debut episode of Herstory of the World. Today's subject, the wonders of the world. Mystical anomalies created to represent global heritage. Let's begin. The Roman Colosseum, the Taj Mahal, the Great Wall of China. This is just naming a few, but this brings me to the ninth wonder of the world, China.
Wait, what? I don't think your history is right.
It's actually herstory. And what do you mean by that?
Aren't there only 7 wonders in the world?
No, not from my research. Let's see here. Andre the Giant, China. Yeah, see, there's 9.
Wolf, didn't you say you wanted to pitch this pilot to the History Channel? Don't you think you should get your facts right?
I think you should get your facts straight. It was A&E, not the History Channel.
Yeah, I think you need to just stick to figure reviews.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to get the history out of these women's wrestlers. I mean, this is Lumberjillville. This is what we're all about. And I figured if I pitched it to a major TV network, that might help spread the word.
Maybe you just make a video compilation of all your figure review intros and send them to MTV.
Why?
Because I heard they are bringing back Jackass.
Hey y'all, welcome to Lumberjillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Now, this Showdown 2-pack was sent to me last Monday when I got the Sheeta, the Chelsea, the Charlotte, and I did a fan vote, and those reviews were way ahead of this. So unfortunately, this was last on the list, so I'm finally getting around to it, but I'm excited, and it looks like a cool 2-pack. But the first thing I'm going to say is, this is bizarre to me because this Championship Showdown 2-pack Series 5 is the first time we've gotten females in the line since all the way back in Series 1. And that was almost a year ago with Sasha and Alexa. So that's a little bizarre. But without further ado, let's take a closer look. So let's start off by taking a closer look at the packaging because I was a big fan of that Sasha and Alexa Showdown Series 1 2-pack. And I think this one looks even better. And obviously I'm a loose collector. I open them up, display them loose, and also open them up to give y'all a closer look in the review. But this is definitely a 2-pack that down the road, if I find one in good condition, I would actually like to display this. Because if you're a fan of the Attitude Era or the women of the Attitude Era, I mean, what better pioneers than Trish and Chyna in a 2-pack together? So this is pretty awesome. Now, obviously, the big gimmick with these Showdown 2-packs is it comes with these 2 championship side plates, and we'll get a closer look at those once we open it up. We got images of Chyna and Trish on the front. Very cool. Turning it around, it actually has what the match is from, and I will go into that in detail when I open them up. But that helps me a lot, and it saves me a lot of research. But on top of that, it's cool to just signify a historic moment for the women, and that's what this does. So yeah, this is an absolute great 2-pack to have men on card, and I like it a lot. But with that being said, let's open it up. WWE Championship Showdown 2-pack Series 5, Chyna and Trish. This attire is based on SummerSlam 2000 on August 27th in Raleigh, North Carolina, where Chyna and Eddie took on Trish and Val Venus in a mixed IC title match. The stipulation was whoever scored the pinfall would be awarded the Intercontinental title, and on this historic night, Chyna pinned Trish Stratus to become the new IC champion. So let's start off by taking a closer look at the accessories, if you can call them that, which is those championship side plate display stands. Now, it is disappointing that these new Showdown 2-packs don't really come with accessories. It would have been really nice if they came with the IC title. I mean, Chyna freaking won it that night. What better time than now to include that? But either way, I do like these as display stands. I'm going to get that out of the way because a lot of women's basics, especially this Chyna, as you'll see, they have trouble standing up. So this is a nice solid base for them to stand on with peg holes. Now taking them off, we will take a closer look here. First with the Trish. It's basically just a gold plastic with a metallic sticker on top. And then same with Chyna here. Another complaint that I have is, they released a title belt that I haven't seen, but apparently there's a toy title belt that these plug into the side. And that's a cool idea, but if they're going to go with that idea, why not include 2 of each? Because let's say you want Chyna to be displayed in the championship belt, you would have 1 on each side. And same with Trish. So to only include 1 of each is a little bizarre. I mean, I guess you could get multiple 2-packs, but that's just weird. So I'm really not a huge fan of this gimmick. Like I said, I'm all down for free display stands. But as far as the gimmick where it goes into the belt, I don't really like that too much. But either way, let's get to the main event and look at the figures. So let's start off here with Trish Stratus' face scan, and it is excellent in my opinion. Now, this was used before in a WrestleMania Basic that's almost a carbon copy of this figure, but it actually has more differences than you'd think, and I'll compare that next. But first, we'll focus on this figure. And like I mentioned, that scan works great. It really does capture Trish and her smile. I think the hair mold is great. I think it really adds character and detail to this figure, and I enjoy that. Now, moving on to the attire, this is a basic type figure, so what that means, we don't get a whole lot of molding in the attire per the usual. And it actually works with Trish because she did wear tighter fitting attire, so just painting on straight over the body works okay. Now, this top is just a straight black, no shine, no metallic to it, just a black. We can see a little bit of her belly button. However, I have to say this is the t-shirt smooth over belly button, so this works. It's not the dimple that they used to do that looked like body paint from Victoria's Secret. So this works great. The bottoms are just painted on, just white with a little black, I don't know what you want to call that, like lacing painted on the front. And going down, she has black kick pad boots here. So, I mean, it's an okay figure. It's maybe one of the most boring figures I've reviewed on the channel, but it's pretty accurate for what it is. Now let's compare it to that WrestleMania Basic. Alright, so on the right we obviously have that Showdown 2-pack Series 5 Trish, and on the left we have that WrestleMania Basic I was talking about that is very similar to this figure. The scans are the same, the hair color might be a little bit different where it's a little more blonde, a little more yellowish on that Showdown 2-pack. But there are some differences here. So obviously the one on the left has knee pads, the one on the right doesn't, but it is accurate to that night. So the Showdown 2-pack one is accurate in that sense. Now the biggest difference that you'll notice is the molding and paint application. So this WrestleMania Basic to me is one of the worst women's figures out there because it just does not look good. And the reasoning is they did and if you're a women's wrestling figure collector, you know what I'm talking about. They did the dreaded painted over generic sports bra mold. And this is what I call the Victoria's Secret body paint because she has the dimple belly button. Not portraying that she's wearing a shirt. It's just painted right on top here. And it looks silly. I mean, this looks so bad. And this would have been a cool basic if they would have fixed that. Smoothed over the belly button. Had a different top. Maybe some molding. Now, obviously, the Showdown 2-pack is a newer basic type mold where they do use that molding between the chest quite a bit, but it works for this one, and it has a smooth over belly button, so it does simulate like a tighter shirt. So even though this one on the left really pops out, this one on the right, I like it so much more because with these women's figures, you really have to look at the little details because there's not a whole lot to them sometimes, especially in basic form. And those details you got to really put under the microscope is paint application and molding. And this one on the left really fails. So either way, I prefer the Showdown 2-pack one. But yeah, these are very similar. So this Chyna face scan, to me, it works great. I mean, this represents the Mamacita Chyna when she was paired with Eddie Guerrero, kind of the babyface Chyna. And we previously got this in the WrestleMania Elite Chyna. Now, this scan and my WrestleMania China actually are a little different, but I think it's just the printing technology of the True FX, and that's why. But I think it's the same scan because, once again, we get that molded headband underneath this very intricately molded hair sculpt. And we have a smiling China, and like I said, this is Babyface China. This is the China that I remember most and I really enjoyed. Now, this is a basic figure, and a lot of times with basics, as you know, there's not a whole lot of attention put into detail, but I'm actually pretty impressed because looking close here, this top is actually a molded top. I mean, there we go. We have a molded top on a basic women's figure, and that's awesome. She also has her elbow pads included, and that's a great addition. Her bottoms are just painted on, but have these little black circles detail painted on. And then she has these boots. Now, this paint also, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what color this is. I am colorblind, and this is one of those colors that I can't even tell you what it looks like to me because it's like all over the place. But it is very accurate to that night from what I can tell in pictures. And I am happy to say that there's like a metallic type sheen to it, and that is awesome. That's what that WrestleMania Elite needed. And that figure to me, which I'll do a comparison next of all her figures, but that figure to me is just, oh, they missed the mark. But yeah, so this is a great China figure, and it's nice to see some, I believe, new parts in basic form for these women's figures. And because we have this muscular frame now in the basic line, maybe we'll see a Raquel Gonzalez basic. So yeah, I actually like this pretty well, and I think it really represents China good. So I wanted to do a comparison of all the Mattel China figures that are out right now and see how this Showdown 2-pack basic holds up. And honestly, for a basic, it freaking rules. I love it. Now, it does stand in scale with the other two, but as I mentioned before, Mattel kind of threw the scale thing out the window, so that's not really an issue now, but it is an imposing figure and gets the point across. Now, on the left, we have that DX 2-pack Elite China that came with Triple H, and that's a pretty good figure. It's got pretty good details, a lot of unique molding to her attire, and it really is a cool figure. The scan kind of freaks me out. I don't know if it's the best. I haven't been sold on it. I don't know. The more I look at it, the more I don't like it, especially compared to these two. And moving on to this WrestleMania China, like I said, I love that scan, but to me, this figure, I mean, you had one job, Mattel. Add a shine, a metallic, a glimmer, something to this paint application. I mean, this attire on that WrestleMania night was so iconic. And by just having it be a plain purple, it just looks like lingerie or a bathing suit. I mean, it looks stupid in my opinion. Like, this might be one of the most disappointing women's figures I've ever got because that's one small detail that would have made a huge difference in the figure. And just having it a plain purple, like I said, it looks silly. And then moving on to this basic here. I call it a basic, but it's really Showdown 2-pack China and basic articulation. And I think it looks great. I think it might actually be my favorite China because I do prefer the Babyface scan and I prefer this attire. So combine those two together and we got the Showdown 2-pack China. I think it is an excellent China. It might be my favorite, to be honest with you. And here's one last look at Championship Showdown Series 5, Chyna and Trish. So before I give these two figures score, I am going to let y'all know that these will be graded on my basic scale. I have two different scales for grading. There's the elite scale and basic scale, so just keep that in mind. Now that being said, I give Championship Showdown 2-pack Series 5 Trish Stratus a score of a 7 out of 10. There's not a whole lot wrong with this Trish figure, and it's pretty good, but that's kind of where it is, pretty good. It is super accurate to that night, but honestly, in my opinion, there are better Trish Stratus figures out there, so that's kind of why it falls in the 7 range, because there's not a whole lot wrong with it. And I actually enjoy the upgrades they made from that WrestleMania Basic, where they just painted over that generic mold. They actually have some molding between the chest here, smoothed over belly button, so they made some upgrades here, and it's just a fine figure, but that's kind of where it stands. Now I give Chyna a score of an 8.5 out of 10, because in my opinion, there's not a whole lot wrong with this figure. I mean, the inclusion of elbow pads is cool. That face scan, the hair sculpt, the attire has molding on it. Now, I know they just reused the torso. I believe they did from that WrestleMania Elite, but it works great here. And I really like the application of the glittery, shiny type paint I mean, that's super. That's something I'm starting to see more, and I love that. So this might be my favorite China figure, as I've expressed many times, and it's pretty cool. But if you are a women's wrestling figure collector or a wrestling historian, I would get this 2-pack to keep MOC in display because this is a historic night where China won the freaking IC title. Thanks for stopping by Lumberjillville. Women's wrestling lives here. For a first look at all future women's wrestling figures, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and join the community. Elite 87 Asuka and Candice LeRae should be here very soon. Also, if you want to support Lumberjillville, head over to Pro Wrestling Tees and check out Lumberjillville t-shirts. And make sure to listen to the Treasure and Eyes podcast, Lumberjillcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, with that being said, have a great night, y'all.